Okay, so
Hello.
This is a really, this is a super important conversation as we are heading into potentially a competitive spring market. We're kind of already starting to see multiple offers come back. So it's important that we go over some strategies that are gonna help you be competitive and win in a multiple offer situation. So we're gonna talk about 5 things. The very first thing that's gonna be crucial for your success in finding a home is that you work with a team that is a full-time experienced real estate team. Because if you're working with somebody part-time, they're not gonna know some of these strategies to help you win. And these are very specific terms that unless you are doing this all the time, you're not gonna know. So that's the very most important thing.
Yep. Then the most obvious, and which you probably all know already in terms of an offer, is price. Coming in at the right price, and we want to help you make sure you're coming in at something that you feel comfortable with, but also something that's going to compete against the other offers that are in. And on top of price, we can also help you with something which is called an escalation clause. And an escalation clause is something that's going to help you compete when there's multiple offers, and you get to kind of choose what, and we'll help you with this, what is the highest number I want to go to. But you don't necessarily feel like, you don't know if you're going to have to go that high to get this listing. And if there's other offers in, you'll say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and beat out any other offer in this that comes in by X amount, and I'm going to cap it at X amount too. So that's kind of what an escalation clause is, and it's another great way to help you compete.
Yeah. And then the second biggie is going to be inspection. So you're going to be up against people that will decide to waive their inspection, their home inspection, or any other inspection that might be entailed in a specific property. We always recommend having an inspection, but there are specific terms that we can write into that inspection clause that will help you be a little bit more competitive. And one of those terms would be putting a dollar amount on anything that the inspector might find, and you could say, we're not gonna ask for anything that's under this dollar amount. That could be $5,000, that could be $3,000, that could be $10,000, just depending on what you feel, what kind of cash you have in pocket, and your comfort level.
So really you're telling the seller that you're only looking for major inspection items or repairs.
You're not gonna be picky.
Another thing on inspection that we would add too is, if you can get that inspection done in a couple days, and we have really good, referrals for inspectors that usually can get out there in a couple days. That way, if something does happen, if there is a major item and, the seller needs to go back on the market, they can do that as quick as possible too.
Yeah, exactly. Timelines are important to keep those nice and tight.
Yep. Our fourth thing here is going to be an appraisal gap. So this is very common when there is multiple offers and offers are coming in a lot way over asking price. A big thing that helps the seller out is an appraisal gap, which is going to be something where you're going to agree to bring, X amount of cash to closing in the case that the property under appraises. So say a property was listed at $350, you're offering $375, but that property only appraises for $350. Well, you're going to bridge that gap with bringing extra closing funds to the table.
Yeah. That is probably what we're seeing is probably the most effective strategy that makes these sellers feel comfortable in a multiple offer situation. Because it doesn't hold much water if you're offering $50,000 over asking price, but it's never going to appraise at that price point. So that's a really good one. And then lastly, it's just you being flexible on timelines. So what we typically do as a team is we're going to be calling the agent prior to putting the offer together at all and just asking, okay, what does the seller need? What is their ideal closing date? Do they need extra time to move their stuff out? Basically just figuring out in a dream world for the seller, how can we match that up with our buyer situation to the best we can? So that's super important as well.
Yeah, really in a multiple offer situation or when the market's competitive, it's always thinking about how can you cater best to the seller and make them feel comfortable about something based on the terms of your offer. So
yeah, exactly. So those are really our key. There's a couple other things that are just minor tweaks in there, raising your earnest money. I think that's another great one.
Yeah.
I think what the most important thing is you're working with that team that is a full-time team that understands these strategies that are going to help you win. And then also, I'll wrap it up with this one last thing. Somebody that is local expert that has relationships with the other agents in this area, because that's just going to help you overall.
And not just the other agents too, it's partnerships with good inspectors, good
Lenders.
lenders, and everyone that's going to be involved in the process.
Yeah. So we look forward to a competitive spring market, and we're really excited to help you guys win on some home purchases.
Let's go.